Hello everyone, I'm BlueJink, and today we're taking a look at YANQING. Now he is a very decent 5-star hunt character. We're going to go over his stuff real quick before we throw him in some content and see how well he does. Now, he is of the ice element. His combat type is ice, which means he does get freeze, which is very, very good. And his path is, of course, the hunt, as I mentioned earlier. He's a very DPS, very squishy character. Now, let's go over his kit here. His technique is the one true sword. After using his technique at the start of the next battle, YANQING deals 30% more damage for 2 turns to enemies whose current HP is 50% or higher, which will be pretty much all of them if it's just the start of the fight, which is very, very nice, very cool. His talent passive is One with the Sword. When Soul Steel Sync is active, which is attached to his skill, we'll get to that in a second, YANQING is less likely to be attacked by enemies. YANQING's crit rate increases by 16.5% and his crit damage increases by 19%. After YANQING attacks an enemy, there's a 53% fixed chance to perform a follow-up attack dealing ice damage equal to 32% of YANQING's attack to the enemy, which has a 65% base chance to freeze the enemy for 1 turn. So just to go over that real quick, when Soul Steel is active, YANQING's crit rate increases, his crit damage increases. When he attacks an enemy while Soul Steel is active, remember this, this is all while Soul Steel is active, 53% chance to follow up with a 32% attack ice damaging move, which has a 65% chance to freeze the enemy. So very excellent. The frozen target cannot take action and receives additional ice damage equal to 32% of YANQING's attack at the beginning of each turn. When YANQING receives damage, the Soul Steel Sync effect will disappear. So you want to be careful with that ability. However, you're going to be using a lot anyways, whether you get attacked or not. His basic attack is Frost Thorn, which just deals 60% of attack damage to a single enemy. His skill is Darting Iron Thorn. It costs 1 and it deals ice damage equal to 143% of YANQING's attack to a single enemy and activates that Soul Steel Sync, which then gives him all of this talent extra stuff. Very useful. You want to make sure you keep that up. It only lasts 1 turn, so you have to reapply it every turn. But if you apply it 1 turn, next turn use a basic attack, you'll still have a chance to activate all this stuff. It doesn't go until actually the turn ends. So he seems pretty energy hungry, and he is, but you could substitute his damage for a little bit less energy usage, that's for sure. His ultimate is Amidst the Raining Bliss. This increases YANQING's crit rate by 60%, and when Soul Steel Sync is active, increases YANQING's crit damage by an extra 36%. This buff lasts for 1 turn. Afterwards, deals ice damage equal to 252% of YANQING's attack to a single enemy. So you need to make sure your Soul Steel Sync is active when you use this ultimate, which means his ultimate isn't necessarily it isn't very just usable at any time like a lot of other people's ultimates are. Sometimes you could really get away with using some people's ultimate anytime, not his. You have to make sure that buff is up. It is not worth using his ultimate if he does not have Soul Steel Sync active. So, the stats that you want to prioritize with him, he is a character of the hunt, so attack is a big one. Obviously, all of his stuff do attack. Increasing his crit rate still helps. These aren't flat percent increases, right? This is 60% of whatever his crit is. So you want to prioritize getting crit rate on him, which I don't have very high. Wow, that's not smart. And crit damage is another one that's pretty good. Actually, wait, is his crit rate increases flat as they percent increases? Or are they just increase crit rate by 60%? Does that mean 60% of what my crit is, or 60% after? I'm gonna have to look that up. Here is that answer for you right there. Hopefully it's a flat increase. So stats you want to prioritize with him are attack. Another stat that's really good for him as well is speed. Speed is a very good one for him. Luckily, we got that in his light cone here. Right now, I have River Flows in Spring, which is a 4-star light cone for him. It's still pretty good. He does have another specific light cone just for him, although this one is also pretty just for him as well. But after entering battle, increases the wearer's speed by 8% and damage by 12%. When the wearer takes damage, this effect will disappear. This effect will resume after the end of the wearer's next turn. Very good. You want to prioritize light cones that do give him extra damage, extra speed, extra crit rate of any sort. So those are just the stats you want to prioritize with him for sure. Well, maybe not. Depending on my answer on the crit rate, you might actually just want to prioritize crit damage instead. Now his traces, he has a couple here, obviously. Let's go over the big ones here. Bonus abilities. Icing on the kick. When YANQING attacks, deals additional ice damage equal to 30% of YANQING's attack to enemies with ice weakness. Very good. And Frost favors the brave. When Soul Steel Sync is active, effect resistance increases by 20%. And finally, Gentle Blade. When a crit hit is triggered, increases speed by 10% for 2 turns. Excellent. See, increase that stuff for him. Increase that stuff for him. Those are the stats that you want to focus on. For his relics, I recommend the Hunter of the Glacial Forest because it increases ice damage by 10%, which is, he does ice damage, so that's good. And the 4 pieces, after the wearer uses their ultimate, their crit damage increases by 25% for 2 turns. It's essential for him. He needs crit damage, you know, attack, stuff like that. That gives him both. Very excellent. And for him, I have the Sealing Station, which increases attack by 12%, and then when the wearer's speed reaches 120 or higher, their attack increases by an extra 12%. I think that's the best one for him, just more attack, and he will be able to hit that speed. He is currently at 112, I believe. With his light cone buff, he should get above that. Yeah, I think he hits that, just barely though, just barely. Next, let's go over his dupes. Number 1, we have Svelte Saver. Is it Svelte Saver? Velt Saver? When YANQING attacks a frozen enemy, he deals additional ice damage equal to 6% of his attack. Wonderful. 2, oh my gosh, why is all his names like this? Supine Serenade. When Soul Steel Sync is active, energy regeneration rate increases by an extra 10%. 3 is a level up, Sword Savant. 4 is Searing Sting. When the current HP percentage is 80% or higher, Ice Resistant Pen increases by 12%. Oh, Ice Resistant Pen. That's excellent. Very good. 5, Surging Strike is a level up, and 6 is Swift Swoop. If the buffs from Soul Steel Sync or the ultimate are in effect when an enemy is defeated, the duration of these buffs is extended by 1 turn. Wow, that is excellent. Very good. He doesn't have as crazy dupes as some of the other characters we've already looked at in the showcase. Well, not in this showcase specifically, but other showcases. But he is definitely excellent. Now, before we get into the content, I want to go over the teams I'm going to be running today. The first one here is going to be a Let's Wank YANQING build. So everything's going to be focused more towards him. We got Ting Yen focusing on him, Silver Wolf debuffing enemies for him to do the maximum amount of damage, and Trailblazers here is just to tank for us. They're just there so that YANQING doesn't get hit. We'll be going into content for this build as well that is pretty much that's really good for him. The second one we have is something more common of what you'd see, a little bit more of an even damage spread, a little bit of a different build where he isn't the focus and he isn't getting buffed and just put to a high degree, which is this team here. And then the last one will be, I'll be doing like a lesser team where it's like, if you are a player, the only 5-star you have is YANQING. These are the kinds of builds we'll be doing for the last fight. So only 4 stars and Trailblazer will be what we use for the final team here. So I will see you in some content. I will be right back. Alright, so we got team 1 here in Memory, stage 9. This was a perfect one for him because we have an enemy who is weak to ice and the other one isn't. So I figured we could see how he is when he's carrying against someone with the ice weakness, which is what you should be doing if you're using him to carry. And then what happens if we fight someone who doesn't have the ice weakness, and what happens if he's like your carry unit. So with this team, just to explain a little bit more, this is like, he is carrying, he is the primary damage, he is the unit. Everyone else is there to make him look as good as possible. And let me tell you, this first attempt really shows why he isn't someone you could depend on super hard to carry you. To be fair, I don't think many of the characters from the hunt, other than really like premium echelon super tiered characters like that, can but would be able to like carry you through content. But this guy, YANQING, he cannot. This first attempt we lose. We do just lose this first attempt. The second attempt, however, goes a lot smoother. We do win that one. But this one just goes to show that when you have everything carried by an offensive character, that doesn't go so well. Although his damage, when he's being wanked, his damage is insane. Against that enemy, that was so fast that we took that guy out there. That primary enemy, he was done for in just a couple hits from YANQING. So yes, against an ice enemy, with him as an ice carry, if you know you're going into just an ice enemy who is the main one, perfect. But that's also why I chose this memory hall, because we specifically go up against someone who is not an ice enemy. Now, I did decide to leave it up to chance on Silverwolf's technique. If you have Silverwolf, you'll use her, obviously, right? So it's only fair to consider the fact that he might actually be able to do something about the main enemy. Ignore my voice crack there. However, it doesn't go well. This is where we lose. To be fair, part of it is my own fault. This team is energy hungry right away. I need to just ignore. Part of me was like, I gotta use Silverwolf's ability, otherwise YANQING can't do anything. It didn't even work anyways. It was not the right thing to do because it ends up being really, really bad for us. But what I should have done was make someone not use their energy move. It should have been Silverwolf. She should not have used her actual special skill, and I should have saved it for Trailblazer there, because now it's like, well, so he's going to take so much damage, and all my other characters are going to take a bunch of damage because they aren't going after, you know, our actual tank character, which is exactly what happens. Everyone dies all of a sudden very quick. Although, to be fair, a lot of those are AoEs. They were taking damage anyways. There wasn't a whole lot I could have done there, but it could have been better. But I just go right into a challenge again, and this one goes a lot smoother. But yeah, part of it was maybe a little bit of unluckiness mixed with some mistakes, but either way, it's still the same thing. YANQING didn't do his best. Something I learned while doing another fight with him, actually later today when I wasn't even doing the showcase, is that his best turn is a turn where you are entering with the Soul Steel buff, and then you use his ultimate, and then you do his turn. So you want to start the turn with the buff and then go into it. That's probably the most damage output you could have with him. So you probably don't want to do this, what I did there, because you get this extra crit. I can't remember if it's crit rate or crit damage off of his ultimate ability that kind of like lasts this one turn. It's a little weird. It's a little confusing. And when I was looking at it, I was reading it, and I was looking at the damage. It seemed to be that if you use it and then if you attack and then use it, by the time it comes back up again, like his turn, you might not have the crit. You might though, but maybe it's just because I did it all in one and it was just a lot of burst right away. But yeah, it's probably just burst right away. You're probably fine to use his ultimate as long as the Soul Steel is up, no matter what. That next turn, however, after the ultimate, make sure you use your skill again, because it will have a higher crit rate or / crit damage, one of the two. So basically, you don't want to use his ability, you do not want to use his ability, use his ultimate, and then just use a basic attack. You want to be able to, you want to use your skill again to maximize that damage. Yet again, we take this guy out pretty fast, not as fast as before, just unlucky with the crits, I guess. But YANQING does good damage. He does excellent damage. No one can take that away from him, that's for sure. He does good damage against, you know, an enemy weak to ice. Who would have guessed? The Hunt character does good against the enemy they're good against. Insane. But still, his damage is impressive. As far as what crit you want him to get to, because it is a flat bonus, apparently you probably want to get it closer to like 20% crit if you're thinking about his upgrades as well that he gives himself through his passive and through his ultimate. You probably want to get closer, but somewhere between 20 and 30% seems like the best to be at. I think it's 24, 25 is where he'll be able to get to 100% when using his max abilities. So you know what, up that crit rate. I need to upgrade my crit rate on him because his crit rate's really bad. But those relics I have, just I'm kind of at the bottom of the barrel as far as the abilities they have. I haven't been able to grind out these ice ones very much. Yeah, this one looks rough, but we're gonna be able to do insane damage here, even without anything. I can't remember exactly what happens. You can see I'm stopping here because I'm like, dang, what do I do? It ends up being fine though. We're able to ramp up a lot of damage here. I'm pretty sure Silverwolf I use. What do I do here? I do that. Break him. Oh, that's right. He freezes. That's right. It's that clutch freeze. That mechanic you cannot ignore is with these freeze enemies. I mean, with these freeze characters, how well they're able to freeze. They're good. All right, this team is the more balanced team, and this one goes so smoothly. I'm not sure what was going on there. I think I hit that on accident. But this one goes so smooth. Who would have guessed? The completely balanced team goes so incredibly smooth. we make mincemeat of this. We didn't need to do another one. YANQING does really good damage, not as much as he was doing before, obviously, because I mean there's just less he has there. But when he's put with like a character who's in the path of destruction, right? A destruction character combined with his own damage, someone who actually tank, Silverwolf could be either there as a debuffer, or you could have a buffer to specifically buff one of the two. I would say a debuffer is more preferred because when you have two damage dealers, lowering like an enemy's defense, for example, is good for both of them, whereas the other way, if you have like Qingyun on there, she can only buff one of their attack. So if that's the way you think about it, I would say it would be better to have someone like Silverwolf or even Pella, because she is just a little bit more, I mean, she guarantees defensive, right? More so of a defense lowering, right? However, Silverwolf believe it or not, Silverwolf's better than Pella by a ton. Even, I would say that you should take Silverwolf every time, but Pella is another option for this team. Yeah, but you just run through it. To be fair, like you have Clara here, who is so good. She's really good. If you didn't watch my showcase on her I did the other day, excellent. The best physical character in the game, easily. She does good damage. March 7th is very good with her. Oh boy, I got like had this little something in my throat. But yeah, Silverwolf, of course, she's so good. She's just so helpful. But YANQING, well, yeah, I mean, single target wise, he does the most damage, that's for sure. But you combine all the insane damage that Clara is doing, she out damages him by far, I'm sure. But he, as you can see here with Silverwolf, why she's so good with this weakness breaking, like this weakness adding that she does. By adding, we do this one here, she's got a good chance to make them weak to ice because we have two ice people. And she just, works every time. Yep, every time. They get weak to ice. Which, what do you know, YANQING, now all of a sudden he's the most insane unit you've ever seen, all of a sudden he's spectacular, right? We're gonna get this, and we're gonna get the ultimate. He does great. Look at this. Boom, just killed. Got him. He's so good. All right, this one here, this is the more quote-unquote free-to-play team. This is the budget team we have here. So I'm going to be doing this one in the showcases now, where we have our showcase unit, but then all the other units are going to be 4 stars or / the Trailblazer, because I mean the Trailblazer is technically a 5-star, but free-to-play unit, so everyone has her. So with this one I have Qingyun, who's great. She's a 4-star unit, so you could just pull her on pretty much any banner. You have a higher chance to pull her than you have most other units, so hopefully you get her one day. She's quite good. Pella, I believe you just straight up get for free. I'm pretty sure she is a strict free-to-play unit. So she's good. She lowers that defense, She is a debuffer. She has decent-ish attack. Well, actually, she could do okay attack, actually, with her skill. I've seen her put up some decent numbers. But, really good team. It even does better than the first one, probably just because... I think it was just we got a little luckier with this one. Well, okay, I forgot. We're doing a weaker stage. We are doing a weaker stage, and the enemies are weak to both of the enemies are weak to ice. So this is an easier stage. We're not doing Memory Hall stage 9. I think this is 8 or 7. So that's part of it. But still, he does really good. I mean, I wanted to show him, how he can, if you don't have a lot of stuff, he could still how good he can do. He's really good. You do want to be bringing units that are like a part of the hunt. You want to bring them against enemies. The big enemies are weak to his version, even if you have Silverwolf. You can't, it's nice, but you can't depend on her ability to do that, right? You can't depend on it. But when you get it, it's nice, right? When you get it, it's nice. And she has plenty of other stuff she does that makes her worthwhile. It's just like the weakness adding on is just a little extra. You can plan for it a little bit better by making sure that the enemy typing, the only one it doesn't have is the unit you want to get it, right? Because it's still only like a % chance to inflict, and and then you have to be like, okay, well, which one is it going to be, right? But if you plan for it better, you don't have to worry about it. This guy barely hangs on. I was like, really? Come on. He's got like 2 health. Just die. And then this guy starts healing, and then this guy blows up. I'm just like, ugh. So obnoxious. But I think we get it with the ultimate right here. Wow, still no? Oh, with her, Tingen gotta do it? That's crazy. Yeah, this one was kind of dangerous as far as health-wise goes. That explosion guy, I mean, I thought we were done. We had to do with those guys anyways, so obviously I was wrong. But I mean, look at that. Those are all 3-star attempts, right? You know, YANQING, he has some problems, but he's good. You know, you can't depend on characters from the hunt like this, unless it's like Zila. You can't depend on them to be able to carry you through, right? You need to have a little bit extra. You need to have, you know, we could have thrown in that first team. We could have thrown a healer. The only thing is that, like, I don't know. I didn't think that was like a full carry on YANQING. But when you throw a healer on the team, things change a lot more. So yeah, that's all we got here for today. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all next time. Bye bye.